2025 meeting of the Fairport Local Development Corporation to order and ask if there is any public comment this evening for the LDC board. Okay, hearing none, we'll move right into a presentation that we're going to hear. Brian, I think Brian Stancampiano is going to do the presentation. Is that correct?
Right, we're kicking right off. Okay. So,
yeah, Brian,
want to set the stage?
Yeah, happy to. Brian Stancampiano and Art Albert and Emily Mishler are all three of them are here to speak to an initiative that's been started. I guess, I mean, you'll speak to this, but it has legs from years ago, as far as a winter carnival in the village of Fairport, driven in large part by a passion around the historical ice skating that many of us remember from our youth or past years when there was rinks in a couple different forms around the village. But thinking about it kind of in the context of how can we drive in that season that is always cold, varying in length, how do we help make sure that we are driving community engagement and economic development around the village for the citizens, for the businesses, but in a creative way that I don't think we have done previously around the carnival idea. So I've been brought into the planning committee and thankfully so, because I think it's a great idea in the near term and really fun to think about what this could be in the long term. And that's kind of what Brian's going to speak to today.
Thank you so much, Rob, and thank all of you for giving us the opportunity. I have the distinct pleasure of leading a group of people that are listed on the screen here. Many of the names you'll recognize. Emily and Art, part of the core team. My wife, Sarah O'Brien Stancampiano, also with me here, part of the core team and co-founder of Dearborn Arena, which was the legacy rinks that our family has done in the last several years. So what we'd like to do is just share with you the desired outcomes for today. Ideally, we want to share the preliminary vision that our team has established, working with many stakeholders throughout the community since, I guess it was January, we started the working group. We're very anxious to get your feedback and ideas to help us shape something special together. We're pretty excited about something very special that can happen for Fairport and Parrington. But we also need some assistance along the way, specifically around grant funding sources and opportunities. We've done a fair amount of research. We've identified several grants that we think could pertain. And there's all kinds of stakeholders, as you know, involved in making a decision like this. Obviously, there's your team here. There's the village of Fairport. There's the town of Parrington. There's Canal Corporation. There's the Merchants Association. There's the Fairport Parrington Partnership. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but lots of stakeholders involved. And the challenge is, how do we get all the stakeholders to hear the same message so we can decide, does this make sense for Fairport and Parrington? We believe it does, but we're slowly but surely trying to build that momentum. We've also done the research on the OCED mission. Clearly, your mission about making Fairport a regional destination, we're all about that at this initiative, as well as investment in the heritage and spurring future growth, bringing more amenities to the residents of Fairport. This is all about amenities and memories that we want to bring to Fairport. What I'd like to do is kick it off with a brief 3-minute, not even 3-minute video to kind of set the stage on what we're talking about here. if there's one thing I learned from having the pleasure of working with Emily, Nancy Regas, Pam Renfro, Art Albert, is the importance of leveraging community feedback. The ideas that we're bringing to you today have probably been shaped by, I would say, at least 600 Fairport Parrington residents. We've reached out to a lot of people. We've had some community Zooms. We've had lots of email, and we've done a lot of listening. And I can't tell you how grateful I personally am to Emily Mishler, because she spearheaded most of the listening. And if it wasn't for Emily, we wouldn't be here today, because we just happened to stumble into each other and skating, and she started this whole thing. So Emily, thank you so much, and thank you for continuing to cheer for the residents in terms of what they might benefit from. Why does this matter to Fairport? The beloved tradition. The memories on Facebook, on Potter Park, all kinds of likes and comments, hundreds of likes and comments. More reasons to get outside. We engaged Joelle Murray Karsten from the Canal Corporation. I must say, one of the things, she had a fantastic idea and reminded us that one of Governor Hochul's priorities is to bring recreation to youth that are underprivileged. Swimming pool initiative, right? Well, why not ice skating initiative? Ice skating is becoming an elite sport because it's so darn expensive to play hockey or to skate. So this is another thing, get young kids out, affordable, screen-free time, getting people out. Local business and tourism. We believe there's a significant potential economic impact, not in year one, but over time. We think there's going to be a very large economic impact, and we'll show you some preliminary work that Rob and I have been brainstorming on. Obviously, it's been a difficult year for our merchants, and we'd like to help that. We're probably not going to make a big dent this year, but certainly in the future, we think it's a big opportunity for merchants and the community pride. We think that building this, not something that's built for us, but built by the community, has been the key message we've been working with, is continuing to engage folks. So why am I here? For those of you that don't know me, let's just say if I'm lucky to have a eulogy someday, it will be dominated by how much passion I have for building backyard ice skating rinks. There's 3 rinks on here that were in my backyard, and the 4th rink was at Village Sports. That, to say I put a little bit of time and effort into, would be a fairly significant understatement. Probably 1,000 kids have learned how to skate in my backyard. I happen to be a thought leader, top contributor on a 60,000 person Facebook group about backyard rinks. I have a YouTube channel devoted to helping people save time, energy, and money on backyard rinks, because I don't want them to live all the mistakes I made for the last 28 years. So to say I'm passionate about it is a gross understatement. Ironically enough, I met Art Albert along the way here, and he joined the team. And something we have in common, his dad did Potter Park. He grew up on the Potter Park, skating water in Potter Park. Just a quick introduction to yourself, Art.
I didn't do this skate. But I lived on Potter Park. I get dropped off in the morning after a 6 a.m. hockey game, and I would start playing hockey down there from 8, and I wouldn't leave until 10 o'clock at night when my dad came down to flood the rinks, and then I worked with him on flooding rinks. And at one point, we actually had rinks that Craig Road and Spring Lake Park too. So we did all of those things. So I learned, like Brian, how to make natural ice in the winter. I taught my wife how to skate backwards on the canal or on the rink, and it's a passion line. And the thing that I remind everybody, and we saw this on all the Facebook posts and things like that, when people talk about Potter Park. I'm the only one who used that rink every single day. I mean, I lived there, literally. So they wanted me to eat, they brought me food. But the thing is, I guarantee you, most people only skated 2 or 3 times a year on that rink. That's all they can skate. But they have that memory that I got this one day that was a beautiful winter day and I could go down and skate. And that's what we're trying to recreate, that memory, because you see it every time something's posted about Potter Park. Everybody talks about that. And it's very few days that people skate. So I know everybody's looking for the really long lifespan of a natural rink that sometimes you get, sometimes you don't get as long. Brian's an expert on lengthening that. But the fact is, you only need a couple days to create the memory that everybody has.
Thank you, Art. I can't tell you how delighted I am to be working with you. We're going to create some really special stuff. By the way, just testing. we want to make this as brief as possible. There's tons of research have been done here, but it's not practical to share it all. So I'm going to try 10 minutes of sharing best practices in other towns, very high level. Every link and every image in this presentation, which you'll receive, has background data behind it, either a website or a live video to learn more. But I'm going to just kind of, we want to make sure we get some feedback. So about 10, 12 more minutes of sharing, 10 minutes of feedback. Just, are we on schedule for that? We said 30 minutes. Is that all right? I promise to move quick. But stop me, because I can get too quick also. Okay, so obviously Ottawa, Buffalo, Chicago, Milwaukee, Toledo, Peterborough, Ontario, USA Pond Hockey, Saranac Lake, Lake George. Those are all places. If you click on this green thing, there'll be about 25 locations. We happen to be at 43 degrees latitude for winter weather. Ottawa's at 45-degree latitude. So 43 to 45 is the sweet spot for freezing ice, right? So we're not going to bore you with all kinds of rinks that are up in Calgary or Edmonton. We're going to bring you the facts that are in the weather zone that we are here in Fairport. Okay, that's what's behind here. There's probably 25 examples in there of economic impact and how communities are taking advantage of that. So now I want to show you Saranac Lake. It's the longest running winter carnival in the United States since the 1800s, late 1800s.
Happy Carnival!
So 3 quick examples. Whoops.
Hello, I'm Heidi Groff. And I'm Kelly Massacott. We are.
Stop. There we go. 3 quick examples. Now, obviously, this is. Have any of you ever been to Ottawa?
Yep.
Isn't it amazing?
Oh yeah, did that with the kids once. That's great. Yeah.
Special memory. Anybody else been to Ottawa? Skate on the Rideau Canal? Anybody else? Emily? I used to coach youth hockey, and I would take my teams there every year. It was the highlight of the year. Kids skating on a canal, they were just let free, and it's just magic, absolute magic. Okay, so they're a little colder in Ottawa than we are. Not that much, right? But they're the experts, absolute experts. The Carleton University has a full team devoted to the study of ice making, right? Okay, now Toledo, Ohio. This is somewhat fascinating. And so we met with Jen Lunsford a couple of weeks ago, and to say that she got excited about this idea and got on board with this idea would be a fairly significant understatement. We already have a skate park that, thanks to Jen and many of you in this room, brought to the community. Now imagine if that skate park adds ice skating, and here's what they're doing in Toledo. wish I could show you more, but your time is valuable. We won't spend that much more time on best practices, but they're in the deck. Okay, so to summarize, that's Saranac Lake. More information by clicking on the images. Since Toledo launched their ribbon at Glass City Metro Park in June of 2023, 1 million visitors. 1 million visitors. This is a channel of one of their local TV station news report embedded behind that, should you want to learn more. Ottawa. The video you just saw is here. You want to know how they do it? The video is here. Fascinating, fascinating. And to me, that's where the magic is, in the how, which Art and I know just a little bit about. $82.5 million Winterlude related economic spinoff. The Winterlude is a 2-week carnival in Ottawa, obviously featuring the Rideau Canal and all kinds of other, you saw all the huts on the canal. Over 1 million visits per year, 21,000 skaters per day. I reached out to the National Capital Commission and asked, said we're thinking about this in Fairport, can you give us some advice and help, and who's in charge? Well, Bruce Devine, who I had the pleasure of meeting, he's the person that's responsible for the National Capital Commission and everything that happens on Ottawa's Rideau Canal. He's not only shared information so far, he's offered to do further information sharing, share all the best practices, work with the Canal Corp engineers to demystify skating on the canal. So not only do we have the best experts in the world working with us, we got an incredible amount of personal local experience to make this successful, and just a fair amount of passion. Imagine a winter tradition in Fairport that brings our entire community together, annual signature event celebrating our canal town charm, anchored by skating. Not just skating, but all kinds of winter activities. You know, make snowmen, all kinds of winter stuff, curling, ice skating. Not only ice skating, but for cold years, the best ice skating is on the canal. If it's not a perfect year, we want ice skating off the canal. We should have both. Build a traditional and scalable growth. And as I already mentioned, we benchmarked this through multiple communities across the U.S. Now, just to orient you, this is a satellite view of Harrington Park. You'll see here, the bowling alley is back here underneath the word drone. This is the bridge that goes over Route 31F. This is the skate park over here. These are the tennis courts in Harrington Park. This is the changing area, a few restroom facility, the infrastructure. An ideal venue, an absolute ideal venue for a winter carnival. Again, you can click on the image and get a drone view right down the canal, but imagine going from Harrington Park, a winter carnival. Imagine if the canal was frozen from Harrington Park to the lift bridge, or potentially Parker Street Bridge. Game changer, total game changer. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you it's possible. Absolutely. Is it possible to do it the whole winter? No way. But is it possible to do it for 1 weekend, 6 weekends, 20 days at a time? I believe the answer is yes. I believe in my heart of hearts, the answer is absolutely yes, if we band together and decide we're going to do this. Seasonal ice rink at Harrington Park. We got to have a backup. We can't count on the canal being frozen, although Art will tell you it freezes every year. Every year, there's for a certain amount of time, it's going to be frozen and people are going to skate, trespass and skate no matter what. But Harrington Park is the ideal facility. What we have in mind is an initial seasonal rink similar to the Dearborn Arena rink configurations that I showed you, like you see in the picture there. Similar look and feel. Here's the configuration. Here's the 6 tennis courts in Harrington Park. Restrooms, changing area. That's the ideal skating rink location. Notice canal test rink. There's no better spot on the canal to test a section of water to freeze in the winter. Why? It's shady. Sun is #1 public enemy. It's already shady, right? There's already infrastructure to get down to the canal. There's steps there. It's a logical extension. So now we start there. We get to start with a natural rink or a refrigerated rink. We're talking about winter 26, 27. We're going to get to this winter in a minute. Longer term, imagine all kinds of carnival activities throughout the skate park. Or as John Lunsford got excited about, imagine a ribbon of ice skating around Harrington Park. Possible. skating rink, other canal activity, other carnival activities. What about a pond hockey tournament with multiple rinks on the canal, not unlike we've done 2 or 3 years in Fairport? And the only reason it didn't continue was the person that ran it moved to Cary Lake in Penfield. I think it's Penfield, Massey. Potential economic impact. Again, Rob and I have been talking about how do we project this. I want to get people's attention that this is potentially a game changer for the village. We firmly believe that as a team. Why? There's best practices out there about total skater visits. Ottawa's done it. Peterborough, Ontario does it. There's multiple places that do this. And the number of tourist visits. So this is an economic impact calculator that projects a 5-year plan. If we were to start small, a couple weekends, long term, Ottawa like, if we got 30, 40 days of skating on a canal, you're talking $1 to $10 million here, minimum economic impact. And again, Rob and I, this is where I want some help. Obviously, our team and our AI assistant, what I call ICE, has done some of the preliminary work, but you guys do this for a living, and we haven't engaged you yet, so we want your help. Funding opportunities. These are the grants we've researched so far. John and I were both watched a video or were on a webinar. There's multiple grants out there, and we want to help deciding which grants we pursue. I'm sure you're going to have other ideas. We want your ideas on any additional grants. So next steps. We want to get some quick feedback today, but most importantly, you're going to get a personalized invitation from Jen Lunsford. Every stakeholder that I just mentioned is going to receive an invitation from Jen Lunsford in the next 1 or 2 weeks for November 18th, Tuesday night, 6 to 7:30 in the Fairport Live Public Library Community Room. It's been reserved because when we went to Jen and shared with her, she got so excited. She said, "How can I help?" I said, "Well, the biggest help we could get is if we get all the stakeholders to hear the same thing together, and then get feedback from all the key senior stakeholders on, do we want to do this? Because if Parrington and Fairport wants to do this, we can make it happen. It's a slam dunk. We got a committed team. We obviously will expand the team, but we can make it happen. What we don't have right now is all stakeholders on the same page saying, this makes sense, let's do it. We're continuing to work the initial winter carnival planning. Nancy Regas and Tamara Farrar, Emily and I were all working that. Our backup plan for this year is Powder Park, small carnival in Powder Park, to at least make some progress. Then we'll put a skating rink on the tennis courts there, really, really low budget skating rink on the tennis courts there. And we'll have lots of winter activities, beer garden, music, etc. So that'll be fun to get us started. But what we really want is your help with potential economic impact, funding and grant options. I'm going to stop. If I missed anything really salient, but I'd be remiss if we didn't.
I think you mentioned it. The fact is, there's a lot of work that we've done behind the scenes available to you to answer questions. I know there is some reluctance from the Canal Authority. I know that there's nobody in New York State that knows more about natural ice than Brian. I've lived on the canal for over 40 years. I've seen the ebbs and flows of how it freezes. And then I've heard from Brian how the Rideau Canal does it. And I don't think anyone has ever tried to freeze the canal the way they do. And the only thing we truly want from the canal right now is let's see if how Rideau does it works here. And, but in the meantime, there's a winter carnival to be put out there without the canal.
I think that it's important to consider the Canal Corp's position on safety of residents as their first priority. And the team is completely committed to respecting their decision and safety being the number one thing. I think that the work going into looking at the festival in Powder Park is a really nice stepping stone. And then further out, looking at something much larger than what we've seen here at Carrington Park is a complete possibility for, a year, 2 years out. And also, in full disclosure, the village board has not approved anything at Powder Park at this point. So, that is another stakeholder that we have to pull into this. So my role here is resident, private citizen, Emily Mishler. So just kind of all the pieces have to come together.
Thank you.
From the board, Rob, if you wanted to kick it off.
Happy to. Yeah, I mean, as someone on this board that has been more involved in this discussion than anybody else until today, I think, it's easy to get excited about the vision, even as a non-ice skater personally. The idea of if the closest we get is an outdoor rink for a couple weeks out of the winter in whatever park that is in proximity to Main Street, the canal intersection of Main Street. That's a win to me. As far as another, I just think we do such a good job in this community around the holidays, and then kind of wait, right? We wait for a little bit warmer weather. I see this as a way to celebrate the winter in a way that I don't recall experiencing here. And in so doing, we help businesses in a window of time that is, for many, if not most of them, their slow season. And it pulls people, I think, like the skate park is already doing in Barrington Park. It's pulling people from all over Rochester as a draw to this community, let alone the folks that are right here. So I'm excited about the vision near term for something even on a smaller scale this winter. But what this could mean in a couple of years is really exciting. So happy to be on this board as a relationship facilitator to the conversations we've been having. But for you guys who are learning about this more for the first time, how is it that you guys find away with questions?
Yeah, I'll start. Yeah, really exciting. I love it. It definitely harks back to my younger days when I feel like growing up in Rochester meant being outdoors in the winter, and people from the other places in the country just can't understand that. I think kind of as a private citizen, but also in terms of the ask from this board, and maybe it's in there, but we just haven't had time to cover it. But I think I'd really like to see what it looks like in terms of operating cost. The Rideau Canal is great, but actually it had its first closure 2 winters ago.
Right.
And so we all know climate change is here, it's real, it's happening. When I look at like the average days that you're going to get that deep ice on the canal versus the cost of a Zamboni, liability insurance, those are things I can just imagine right off the bat. Versus like, are you going to charge admission and what's that price going to be? I think for me, I'd want to know what those financial figures look like to understand how the scale, the sustainability, how does that look like in terms of us putting our effort forward to support this with our time and energy versus the realistic of this becoming another thing that the taxpayers in the village are thinking about. So not that our board oversees that, but just kind of the context that I think we're playing with.
No, great point. We have data on one of the slides in terms of the initial rink configuration, annual operating cost what you were, so 10 to 50K depending on how elaborate the actual rink costs, 60K to 500K, whether it's natural all the way to refrigerated as a starting. So there are some numbers in there. There's some details on a starter rink. At the Ottawa scale, we have not modeled out an economic model for 25-person crew to maintain the whole canal for the winter. No, we haven't done that yet because we haven't proved it.
Yeah. Step
one is to prove that it works in a small area on the canal. A great point.
I like the concept. Selfishly, I'd like it always to be in the village of Fairport versus the town of Barrington. Sorry, but selfishly, but I like the idea when we had winter activities, the hockey stuff and winter snow man making contests and things like that were always fun. Did not grow up here, never skated at Potter Park, but I had my own community park, that's field where I skated. But there's a lot of question marks about the dollars and the sustainability of it, and the effort if we have a warm winter. that's all I worry about.
Yeah. I echo concerns about cost, but I like your perspective on we need to figure out if it's even possible to do before hashing all of them out. But I do wonder if there's a little bit more of that hashing out we can do even before you do that proof, because there's probably costs involved in doing that proof as well. I grew up on Sylvan Glen, so I left, I think, before you guys were there or did the skate rink there. So I remember, I think the Manillas grew up there, and I remember them talking about how awesome it was. I am continually amazed at how many people are at the skate park and how popular it is. And that is one thing where it went in and I was like, okay, that's cool, and wow, the need for outdoor entertainment is really real for our kids and for parents pushing it. We have the backwoods that just went in, and it's a shipping container and a lean-to, and there's 200 cars they can't find parking for. So it also shows you that people are looking to get outside and have that style of entertainment. So I am totally on board conceptually with this. And it's just kind of getting those numbers down. It's the long-term maintenance. There's grant money coming in, but then how do we pay for it outside of that grant money? And does that cover all of the maintenance and all that? Having some level of numbers to look at really makes this feel real. And feel as though it could be something we could really sink our teeth into. And again, like the climate concerns, I think are valid. Maybe there's a way to pivot and do something else on those warmer years, right? I like that calling it a carnival too, and having that as a starting point where the rink is what our goal is. We can get it for as long as we can, but then if we can't have a rink, what are some backup options for cool things for us to do if we don't have that rink? So having that sort of plan in place, knowing that we may be encountering that. But yeah, I really think it's exciting, and I'm interested in hearing more and looking more into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the concept. I just think the concept is great. There's a long way to go from concept to making it happen, and that's why you're doing this and you're out there doing it. I appreciate it. Where's Parents and Parks in this whole process right now?
So the Recreation Parks and Advisory Board, we presented to them, and to your point about wanting it in the village as opposed to Barrington, Alice Shoshone immediately said, great idea, love the idea of a carnival, but can you get it closer to the village? And that's how one of the examples of how the vision got expanded, which is why if the canal can be frozen near the lift bridge or between the lift bridge and the Parker Street Bridge, a big game changer. I could argue you can put a rink in front of Tim Lucy's chicken place if we needed to. We could put a rink up anywhere if we want to get it closer to the village. But I'm sorry, I got off tangent now. The specific question is
Parents and Parks.
Parents and Parks. So
Parks and Rec, I should have said that. I'm talking about them as an organization.
So the town of Barrington is supportive of the Winter Carnival. They're not confident in their staff's ability to maintain a rink in the winter. So Jeff Nutting, obviously, we engaged Jeff Nutting, we volunteered to train his people and spec it out. They're not there yet. Because they share some of the, in full disclosure, they share some of the climate concerns. But let me just deal with the climate thing, because the average person looks at the climate and says, the canal's not frozen every winter, why aren't people skating? Or we've had some soft winters in 2023, they didn't open the Rideau Canal. In 5 years, they've averaged 40 days in the Rideau Canal. 2023 was a terrible year. You are going to have that. But what we've learned and what Rideau has learned about ice making is you don't trust Mother Nature. You got to put labor on top of Mother Nature. I learned this in 28 years of making my backyard rink. Think about your refrigerator. You can make ice cubes in minutes. Try and put 12-inch glass of water in your freezer and see how long it takes to freeze that. You'll wait days for that to freeze. But if you make 12 1-inch ice cubes, you'll make them in a couple of hours, and you add them on top of each other. That's the magic we're talking about that no one has ever done, with the exception of the Ottawa National Capital Commission. They get 4 inches of ice, and they pump water from below and put it on top of the ice in layers.
So you build ice when it's cold and you build it up to weather through the thaws. No one's ever done that. No one's ever done that here at Fairport. That's why we are so confident that we can make ice when the going is good to go through those ultimate thaw days. I can give you a lot more science. I won't bury you with the details, but there's a lot of science behind it. The last thing I'll tell you, if it doesn't make sense intuitively, it doesn't seem right that putting hot water on the ice will make it freeze faster. Doesn't seem right, does it? It's a fact. It's a fact.
I've always heard that.
Okay, so there's a lot of science behind ice making. The National Capital Commission, Laurier University in Ontario, and Carleton University in Ottawa, been in touch with all of them. We can engage the experts to push the envelope on doing this right.
I never personally skated on that when I was a kid. I didn't grow up here either, but I remember taking my daughter over to Potter, and that was a great thing. But I also remember the snow sculpture competitions, and that I did actively participate in. I had a really talented, creative friend
Oh, nice.
who had me shovel snow. And, but that was a great event for the Winter Carnival kind of thing too. But that went away with the volume of snowfall, and that's kind of how that ended. Because and the lack of dependability for scheduling an event that revolves around that, and not knowing, having any idea, are you getting a dirty pile of snow from a Wegmans parking lot that they're going to dump in there and say build with that? Those are the challenges. Obviously, that's why a lot of people haven't done this in the past, is because of the challenges, and a lot of it does go to climate.
Yeah, Kevin, make no mistake. The last thing I want to do is suggest to this board, or we want to suggest to this board, is that we're going to have reliable canal skating or even ice rink skating 5 years in a row, 40 days a year. No, not with a refrigerated rink or ribbons like they're doing in Toledo, and they're doing in Chicago, and they're doing in Milwaukee, and they're doing other places. Absolutely. We add refrigeration. You can even add refrigeration on top of the canal with a temporary rink. So there are solutions to extend the season. Again, I don't want to bore you with all the details, but even if we got 3 out of 5 winters and 10 to 20 days a year, to Art's original point, the memories and the tourism impact is staggering.
A couple things. Number one, Brian, have you ever had a winter where you haven't had ice, natural ice skating? So on a tennis court, or have you ever?
28 years, I've never been shut out.
Okay. So in respect to the Monroe Canal, who has to freeze a body of water this big. So we're also talking about putting ice skating rink on the tennis court.
Right.
Okay. In respect to that. Also, I own a box lacrosse field, which are boards, and it can be put on the tennis rink, and you can do boom balls, street hockey. You can do all of those things, regardless. You do it on a 50-degree day in the middle of the winter. Okay, so you can create some elements that are winter. So your point's well taken, but you do. So we have a list of those activities. We could put together a list that says, here's a horrible winter, this is what we're going to get, and here's our best winter, what we're going to get. How many days of ice did you have on your best?
Last year was the best ever, 65 days.
5 days of skating.
Worst ever, 10 days. Worst ever 10 days. That's what,
65
What
days.
year was worst ever year?
What do I mean?
What year was the worst ever?
2023.
2020.
Yeah, 2023 was but then El Nino changed, and the NOAA weather forecasters are saying differently now. So it was largely El Nino driven. Yeah.
So in essence, we put together a program that says, horrible winter, there you go.
Right.
Good winter, there you go.
And the carnival we're planning has the go date of this weekend before the Super Bowl, right? Soft weekend. It's also the best ice making conditions historically. It's the coldest part of the winter. And we have, if it's terrible weather forecast, we have a rain date. But as Art mentioned, we design it so we're not relying 100% on skating. There's all kinds of activities that can be done that aren't skating, that aren't making snow. We can still have people have fun.
Right.
Well, we have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But just one thought, just to kind of echo what I've heard from most of our board up here. Everybody likes a concept, but the details before we can get too far down the road to know, is this going to work? is Parenton on board with it? What kind of costs are going to be involved in this? And, the ask is generic, but what does that really mean? So I would say that you might want to utilize that November 18th stakeholder meeting to kind of focus on a few of those points.
It's a longer meeting, we're absolutely going to do that. What very well said. By the way, town of Parenton is on board with the exception that Canal Corporation's town of Parenton doesn't own that land. That's what's holding town of Parenton up. That land is owned by Canal Corporation. That's with a 2-year land transfer, et cetera.
Does the corporation not allow skating anywhere on the canal? Does it
Well, they
happen
don't
anywhere
legally
else?
allow it, but it happens. People
Right.
trespass every year on the canal and
Sure.
skate. But they are concerned about liability. I would argue it would actually reduce their liability because it would be sanctioned, safety-oriented skating versus unsanctioned skating that occurs anyhow. Thank you. Looks like it's falling in, yeah.
The slides.
Huh?
We can circulate the slides, but I think too, just.
Yeah, I think we have the link in our.
I don't think
No,
the
I'm
link
gonna
is to
send-
the
I'll send
slides,
John
it's
a
just to one of the
I'll send
videos.
John the link to this, and some of the data's in there, and we are going to continue to refine the numbers and go in much greater detail on November 18th.
Yeah.
Thank you
If
so
somebody
much.
on this
Thank
board
you.
can think about other funding sources, other grant ideas, that was another thing I thought might be beneficial with these brains on this
Yeah, the
board.
Canalway one just came out, to ask for the Canalway Heritage Quarter.
Yeah, that
They're
is
just-
due on November 21st. So I know that you're already dialed into that. I don't know if you have enough runway to submit something for this year for November 21st.
We should discuss that.
Okay.
I'd be interested in your thoughts on that. I hate to see the deadline go, but yeah, it is 11/21.
Mhm.
For that one in particular.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks.
guys, this is great.
Okay.
Art, say hi to Aunt Mary for me.
Okay, now we'll move on to the approval of the LDC September 15th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
A second?
Comments or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, then we'll move on to financials, starting with resolution 2025-10, authorizing payment of the LDC bills.
I reviewed the bills and I would make a motion to authorize the payment.
Second that.
Any questions or discussions on any of those? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we have cash balances and P&L.
Just note, this is a quarter end, year end, really. So you have P&L and the year-to-date budgets as well.
All right, anyone have any questions on that? We do have the full loan status report in front of us, as was requested at the last meeting. So that is helpful. And it kind of goes to some of the questions that Donna raised at the last meeting too. It will give us a couple of things, which I don't want to go into too much detail in an open session because it is financials for certain businesses. Side grants. There's a lot of change from last month. It doesn't appear.
What's the status on the Delanda house on Main? What's been paid?
I can't tell you I don't have an updated status, but I will look into where they're at. and
Part of the work has
report
been
back.
completed, just that I've noticed that it's not a full completion, I don't believe, from what was proposed or what we granted. Anything else on facades? old business, the board calendar approval.
Yes, we had noted last month that the board calendar had expired for 2025. We approved the date of this meeting for October, and then the rest of the year is in your packet for 2025, 2026. The dates with stars are off of our regular every third Monday, and those are due to holidays, President's Day, Martin Luther King Day. So those are pushed to the following week.
Is there a motion to approve the 2026 calendar?
I'll move to approve.
I will second, though I have a discussion in regards to the 18th of November. See if there's any flexibility with that date. But otherwise, that meeting we just talked about in the previous agenda item is the 18th. I would hope to go to that.
Okay.
Maybe
Did you
others might as
say
well.
that meeting was at 6 or 6:30?
Why are we meeting?
Their
on
meeting?
Wednesday?
Is that a Wednesday? Is that a Wednesday?
We used to meet on Monday.
We meet on Mondays. If it is the 18th, then that's
right.
Monday the 17th.
Right, doesn't.
So I think this is just a typo.
Okay.
It should
So
be
it'd
the Monday.
17th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
And just a clean second for me.
And as amended, the calendar as amended.
As amended. Thank you, sir.
So if you could send out a new one to each of us, so we can get them entered in.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Other old business was the cash balance review for the LDC as that we talked about a little last month.
Yeah, it was.
Some questions were raised.
A question was raised. We did do a look back analysis over 5 years, and there aren't any large fluctuations in the cash. So if we look at the dollars that we've given out, we have our loans, and some of our money is in loans. We have our cash, but we also we're a generous organization in the LDC. We have a lot of events that we sponsor on an annual basis that we budget for that comes from the LDC, and that comes right out of LDC cash, and there's no recoup of that. And so between those two things, there aren't any big discrepancy, but the LDC does give money more than it gets money from its loan interest and earnings. So as an action, we have an intention to review with Ed what are the best ways for replenishing that cash through our other entities that are allowed to provide cash to the LDC, namely the IDA. And we're going to meet on that on October 29th and then determine what is the right go forward plan.
We're also going to want to, in that same meeting with Ed, we're going to want to review bonding, any possible bonding opportunities and what we might have available to us to issue bonds.
Mhm.
It's a lunch meeting for the three of us.
Okay.
But it's not
Okay.
a full meeting. And then there will be a report for the board in November. Also to that effect, there is one loan that is coming up, LDC loan that is coming up and payable. Payable in May 1st or something like that of 2026. That could bring a bunch of cash back to that to LDC.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Can we hold off on the LDC executive
Yes.
Session? until we're done with all the meeting. So I would ask for, I always get this confused, adjourn the meeting.
Yep.
And then
Oh, we can
reopen.
Reopen it,
Reopen.
yep.
I'll move adjournment.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up, we're going to go to urban renewal. Okay, I will call the October 20th, 2025 meeting of the Fairport Urban Renewal Agency to order and ask if there's any public comment. Hearing none, I'll close public comment and move to the approval of the September 15th URA meeting minutes.
So move.
Second.
Any questions or corrections? All in favor? Aye. Going into financials, resolution 2025-10, authorizing payment of the URA bills.
I reviewed the bills and I would authorize the.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions on those bills? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-10, authorizing payment of the section 8 bills.
I reviewed the section 8 bills and I would authorize their payment.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Cash balances, and other financials. Anything there that needs called out or anyone have a question on? Okay. Loan status report, URA loans. Here to be current. Front porch grants.
So the summary is here, but we also have an application that is in need of board review.
Of course.
The project is relatively straightforward and a good open the front porch. The owner is intending sometime probably between now and early 2026 to quitclaim deed the house to their daughter. And we have provisions in our grant language that says if you sell the house, the money will be covered. But it just says sell the house, and they're not selling the house, but they are disclosing that the house is going to change ownership, and the daughter is not a village resident. She is a town resident. So with it being not 100% clear, while the project currently with the current owner, village owner, resident owner, great project, they have shared that they plan to transfer the ownership through this quitclaim deed process. And our guidelines don't provide me enough information to say yes or no to that.
Who's the occupant?
The occupant right now is the owner.
And will they continue to be the occupants?
I think isn't there a different address on that? There are two different addresses on that. Let me go back. Maybe I'm confused.
Maybe I'm confused, but
Well, you have a 9 Durant Place for the property, and the
But they live on Lipford's
property
Lane
owners is
East.
on Lipford's Lane East.
So
Yeah, this, no. So I'm sorry, perhaps they don't live in, they may not be the occupant. I said that wrong. They live on Lithbridge Lane and they're a village resident. They own this other house in the village, but then they're going to quit claim it to their daughter who does not live in the village. So as is, because they're village resident and the house is in the village, it's good, but they're going to change the ownership and they have shared that.
Do we know if the daughter will move into that home?
No, that is not the intention.
It will just be income property
Yeah.
for her.
And it will no longer be owned by a village person.
Yes.
Ed, what's her?
I think at the time that they do the work and complete it, that they have to be, it has to be owned by someone who's a village resident. But after that, was there a time period of how long it has to remain in possession of a village resident?
3 years.
Okay.
3 years. But they expect to change ownership before that, and
Okay.
that's why they
They brought
raised the
that
issue.
up. Right.
It'll be while the work's getting done.
It could be,
Okay.
yes.
Before the-
I mean, right now, legally, you have no reason to deny it. You've just been, they've given you disclosure that they could sell it. I mean, things change all the time. So there's no reason why you couldn't. It's just, they just run the risk is that they do make the change in the ownership. Yep.
And if they're, I think you prefaced it by saying, was the work going to be 25, 26, or was the transfer?
The work is going to be relatively immediate if the grant is approved. But the transfer is also going to be relatively soon, 25, 26.
You gotta make it clean.
I think they need to know the expectations that if they transfer ownership of the house, then they will.
So in essence, don't do it. I mean, it saves less than nine.
Right. Right. Or, they could wait for the new owner to apply in the spring.
I guess the thing that we were
But the new
stuck
owner's not a
on,
village resident.
That's true.
we were stuck on the word sold, and so were they. And that's really what they were asking about. So it says, by signing a loan below, I agree to fully repay for the full grant amount if the property is sold within 3 years.
So
And so they're saying, we are not selling the property.
Right.
Is she going to have to pay it back?
I think the intent behind that still stands if she
Yeah.
transfers ownership, but
Yes.
And especially since she's not a village resident.
Yeah. So,
and a quick claim, just explain how that works. and why
I mean, it's
that's
just basically
different.
they're gifting the property.
It's just a transfer of
It's a transfer of ownership.
And so she
But,
owns enough
Yeah,
houses
the intent here is clearly the sale is meant to be any type of,
yeah.
It's a good way to avoid probate, gang. This is something, good estate planning going on here. But yeah,
Yes.
I think saying that the project is something that it's all about, what this is for, right? The grant is for, but one of our eligibility categories, regardless of how it's transferred, is it has to be owned by a village resident.
Do we need to change the language? in
We could
that-
update that, but I think for
This one?
this one, we don't need to, just for the reasons that we talked about here. And it could be explained to them, sure, we can do that, but upon that transfer, you will be due to reimburse for the loan. and-
So it probably doesn't make sense if you want to do it. Right. It's probably more headache.
So are you saying we should deny it? Or let them go through the process and
Well, I'm saying
reimburse it?
deny it, but can we, to Ed's point, there's right now, what's
I know.
deniable about it,
Right.
because you're projecting that things happen. So I guess we don't really deny, but we say so that the current homeowner is the one that would be responsible for paying us back, not upon transfer of the property.
I don't think,
And they
I
can
don't
hold
think
on
we
to the house
deny
for
it.
3.5 years and then quit claiming then.
Right, right. I agree. I don't think we deny it. I think we share with them our interpretation of the word sold.
$4,000
Stays.
and then, if they're really getting
They're gonna win the day at the end of it, either with grant or no grant. It's a smart
They're
move.
good,
But,
right.
but yeah, to Ed's point, we don't, maybe
Right now,
this
you have,
doesn't happen.
Right.
Right, as far as the anticipated transfer of property. So
So we
As it
take, how
stands.
about we take no action,
Mhm.
and then Jonna can follow up in a conversation with them, make sure there's an understanding of it, and the board is, uniform, its sale is in the broad sense
Mhm.
of the term, that there could be other means of transfer, but
is there any other issue that anybody has with approving the grant, but for that, like if that wasn't on the table as far as the potential transfer? Because I think even going back to them and saying, we're supportive of this in general, but
Mhm.
you need to make an informed decision, and the reality of an approval here is X, Y, and Z.
From the perspective of the office, we had agreed with this board, if a grant is very straightforward and meets all requirements and there is no ambiguity or uncertainty, we would approve it and then review it with the board. But if there is uncertainty, then we would look for board approval. And that was the uncertainty. So minus that, yes, we would have approved that. But, so, yeah. that
this
answers your
is
question.
a $4,000 reimbursement
Yes.
as opposed to a $2,000, because it's opening up an enclosed
That's
porch, which is.
We love that stuff.
I mean, it's
very
it would be great if they did it.
Mhm.
And here's, I guess another question is, how do we know if somebody's selling a house within 3 years of our grants? Is anyone actually monitoring that?
I don't know if we,
Check it.
yeah, I think, I don't know what I don't have a good handle on our regular process. So I do agree that's a note we need to
Right.
make sure that we are tracking those as like the 3 years expires on the,
Yeah.
from the date of issuance and probably more regularly. It's just any one of the grants that we have issued, those houses could have been sold or be sold tomorrow, be listed and sold. And unless we're actively checking on a regular basis, we might not catch that.
I mean, and there's also,
Mhm.
Figure out a
if they
process.
hire a good lawyer, there's other ways around to structure it so that they could basically get what they need without jeopardizing the grant. So.
Okay, so we will take no action on this. It's an administrative task.
Well, here it says that how your Fairport project would be impacted if you don't get the grant award, it says it won't happen.
Yes.
So, okay.
Okay. Let's move on to section 8 housing report.
Oh,
I see an error on my first page, sorry. There's a blank spot where half expense is supposed to lie, in the last column there. And therefore, it looks like we have a nice agency held R&D of $333,000. No, I didn't remove the $300,000 we paid out, sorry.
Oh.
So it's actually stable at $33,000. So we're doing fine with our financials. I'm monitoring it every month very, very closely. Our numbers are declining to a point where I am prepared to start the pipeline again. So we're going to do that right after the audit. We'll canvass the waiting list slowly, but we need to get that pipeline going because it's going to start to, trail off. And then as you remember, it takes a good couple months to get that going again. So we're going to start. It was a typical month. We are, losing people. We are. It's crazy how fast. So, like I said, my first part of my narrative is that we're
we're definitely going to start canvassing the waiting list right after the audit is completed. I attended the NARA webinar, which is our national correspondent, basically between HUD and us, and it was mainly about public housing and the operating fund of public housing. Section 8 was literally 1 minute long, and it just said that as per the norm, our budget's set so far ahead that we're definitely set through the end of December, even with a government shutdown. So say if we're not up and running by December, I would have another status report, but we're all set between now and then. So we should have no issues at all. Public housing is gonna have some, but not us right now. The existing RFP went out, it got posted, or it was announced in the paper. It was announced in the paper on October 2nd, with a deadline deadline to submit by November 6th. I have not received any indications.
You're not
other than-
expecting anything?
No, so we'll move forward with that as we need to, and that should be completed by November 6th. Okay. Very brief meeting, or very brief summary today. Sorry, the audit, we started that today. It was already a crazy thing, but I love the audit. It's my favorite. I just like it.
You could be the only person in the world,
So no one ever.
other than Ken Rohr.
I don't know why, but it makes me happy because it just works. So I'm sure we'll sail through that with ease. Same auditors as last year, wonderful relationship. I can't say enough about it. CMAP, that's our self-assessment. That is due by November 30th, and I do believe that I mentioned last month, so far HUD, the criteria that HUD ranks us on is clean, meaning we'd be a high performer. I don't expect anything to change from that. So we'll stay as a high performer this year, as we did last year. And I think, it's starting to get to be a busy time of year with all the stuff that a couple, financial reports are due that are difficult, but our auditors are more than happy to do that for us, mostly. And CMAP does get tough, so it gets really busy. So it's kind of that kind of time of year. So I'm anxious to get started. So that's it for me tonight. Okay. Quick and easy.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah. Enjoy the audit.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm not kidding. I love it. Ask John.
Any questions for Jen? Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, old business, the 2026 board calendar approval.
Except for amending November 18th to November 17th.
Who does amend
It occurred to me while we were listening. When do you go on away after the first few years? Don't you usually go away for 2 months? When are you going?
January, February.
Because I'm also going to be gone the February 23rd.
Is that break week or something?
It's after break week.
Oh, actually, let me look.
So,
So I just wondered if that 23rd date. Yeah,
it doesn't work for others.
It does leave 3 people, that's true. I'm just saying,
I'm just saying if that is a break week too.
that is after the.
Is after,
No, it's
at least for our school.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying if,
well, you guys decide if you want to change it. I mean,
We can circle back on November, right? And do that, amend it, if need be.
it could be, yeah. I
Okay,
don't know. I'm just saying that if somebody else's, I could meet a break week, but I don't know if that fits
I'll be
with other
gone.
families, that's all.
Yeah.
wait-
I'm
wait
fine
a-
switching.
wait
Is
a
it that week you're gone, or are you gone just that day? Okay.
We don't have to pass it out now, I'm just saying it's gonna be an issue, me or not.
Right.
I mean,
Is it too early to try to do the 9th?
Or do you want to do, what about the 17th?
Oh, just the
That's the break week.
Tuesday?
That's a
Oh.
break weekend.
I mean, if no one else, I'll be gone, but if nobody else is gone, that, feel free to keep that on if that works for everybody else.
Well, regardless whether you're gone or I'm gone, it's going to just be 3 people.
Oh, right, that's great.
And that's a meeting, and that's a quorum. Put it out there.
Yeah, I think you guys figure it out. I mean,
So are we saying we'll leave it as is and then
adjust
adjust it? Yeah.
January.
I need to note that it's not November 17th, it's November 16th that we're changing that date to, Monday, November 16th, 2026. Is that
18th
right?
to the 16th.
No.
November
Oh, sorry, this is
25th.
2025, never mind, ignore me. I was in the wrong year. Okay.
You got it.
All in favor?
Here, we made it.
Aye.
So aye.
Any other new business, old business for URA? Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
We made it all the way to the IDA.
All right. I will call the October 20th, 2025 meeting of the Fairport Industrial Development Agency to order. Ask if there's public comment. Hearing none, I'll close that and we can move to approval of the September 15th IDA meeting.
I will move approval.
I had one correction.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Chair,
Kevin
Kevin
White?
White.
That was what it was.
I like that combined human there.
We found it.
Noted, we will update that.
Oh, there it was. So those approvals are as corrected.
Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, financials. Resolution 2025-10. Payment of the IDA bills.
I reviewed the bills, and make a motion to authorize.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving into cash balances. And then as Donna mentioned, this is quarter end. Actually, year end.
This is year end.
Year end statements. Any discussion regarding that? Okay, the Tompkins investment report.
This quarter year end, you have the full portfolio report there, as opposed to just a summary.
Any questions regarding that? All right. Executive Director's report.
Okay, so the main thing that I wanted to cover today is a review of the DRI status, and in particular, or specifically, the projects that we are proposing to be included in the application that we submit. So, but before we dive into that, I have a couple of things that aren't related to that I just wanted to do a quick update. Jennifer already mentioned that we started the audit today. So far, so good, but as first time around, I'm sure there'll be a lot of things to learn and, discoveries yet to be had. But right now, we're in relatively good shape. The audit team is here working in the office. Requests through today have been delivered to them. And so far, everything is going relatively smoothly. This next item is, I will just say, is in process. And so sometimes information is shared with me and it's important to convey that to this board, but it's not intended to imply that this is a done deal. It is just something that is happening with a property that is important, 1000 Turk Hill Road. So 1000 Turk Hill Road was it was owned by an absentee landlord and actually had fallen behind in its tax.
Everybody know what 1000 Turk Hill Road is?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The old Crossman Arms.
Okay.
Where Amazing Grains is.
Right.
That's probably like the most known thing that's happening there right now.
Okay.
So it had, they had fallen behind on their taxes. It went to tax auction about a month ago. And at that same time, I had started having conversation with the new owners of Packett's Landing. They were active in looking to acquire properties in Fairport. Based on some conversations we had, they were able to contact that absentee owner, get them to make a necessary payment to pull it out of auction, and they are under contract with that owner to purchase that property. So hopefully we will take that property from an absentee owner out of the area to a local owner who has already a prime village property and is excited to invest in.
That's awesome.
As he talked about.
Still like it's just under contract and they're in diligence right now, so nothing is committed.
The new people who were working with him, the Packett's owners,
Mm-hmm.
the one still on our.
Yes, they are still working on their
Paying
back payments, but those are coming in. So
As quickly as we had hoped.
they're still coming in on the same schedule, but we're not at the year end yet. But they understand our expectation and hopefully they will meet that. And they've been pretty responsive and understand that for any further support for our office, they would have to be current on anything. And so they're working on some, they're interested in some facade grants and other things. So I expect them to meet that requirement.
I find it challenging to comprehend launching another project in the village without just little pittance that we're at least being prepared.
I get it. I think it's a fair observation that if you do have the resources for that, you certainly have the resources for this.
Yeah.
Real estate entities are different and tricky, and sometimes it can seem like a property management company has a ton of money, but this entity does not. I do not have, a clear view into the finances of every entity, but that could be one of the factors there.
Well, that'd be an interesting location to see something done with. That would be
Yeah.
really, that's village?
It is the village. It's one of those weird carve-outs where,
Okay,
But it's also a small portion of that is within the town of Fairport.
yes.
The majority of the property is in the village.
that is all commercial currently?
It is all
Housing
commercial
within there,
currently.
okay.
How much of it is actually in use?
Quite a bit.
I think it's
actually, after
relatively
I heard
occupied.
that, I went and did a drive-through. And there's just all kinds of little
Yeah.
Wild in there.
spaces. But some of them may be just signs that are up there now. Because
Right,
you have to
just
put a
like-
penny into the place.
Right.
But it just has so much potential to be a lot of canal frontage,
Tons.
that it's just totally overgrown.
Yeah,
There's opportunity.
for
There's
sure is.
opportunity.
There's a lot there. Cool, okay.
Yeah, it has the potential to be a very exciting project for the village. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that happening. Sometimes people hear, things around and they may ask you, and I want you to be informed about it. And then the last update before we get into DRI is we had expected at the end of last year, early this year, to have a request for Iron Smoke to support the purchase of their building. Things have taken a little longer than expected. They ran into some challenges with their landlord, but fast forward to today, the good news is that after all of that, they have come back to a positive position with their landlord. They do expect to be able to move forward with that purchase and subdivision of their property. And they will submit an application for benefits under the IDA, and that we hope to have that application, the approval of the application for a November meeting, and then finalizing that in the December meeting. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the really good news is that we really expect to retain Iron Smoke here in the village, where that was always their intention. We had to get through this process to make sure that happened, and that looks like what will be happening.
That's just the building space, no parking space.
No parking space is included in that. And there was an original expectation to acquire their space and some additional space, but I believe that has been adjusted to their existing space. No parking on the cannery side. They do continue to work with Donahoe on access for that portion in the loading dock part of the building. Otherwise, they expect to work with the village to make sure that they can get loading dock access on the Parse side. Okay, so any other questions or comments about that?
Any updates on Ledestri? Digging that area.
There's no updates from a tenant perspective. I did have there's a broker who has been assigned, Adam Rooney, and Greater Rochester Enterprise, David Grome. They're working together on attracting a new tenant. So I know that there was some buzz around who that tenant could be, but right now there isn't an identified tenant. They're focusing on food manufacturing first, and then we'll expand out from there for similar businesses, and then what they could potentially retrofit that space to. But as of right now, there is not a new tenant identified.
There's it's interesting. I think about the parking at that cannery and Iron Smoke, and sometimes that back access to the Ledestri is closed off, other times it's not. Sometimes there's large things in front of it wide open, and people are circling around, snaking through the pallet towers and over onto Barnum Street. And I just think about what might happen if the building is empty, and what could that space not become, but could it be safe, and make sure that it's enticing to sneak around into the cannery area through Ledestri. Just thinking, and I know that will be, I suspect, the property owner's decision on how that works.
Actually, Ledestri or behind the Conking and Calabrese?
Kind of behind the Conking and Calabrese, but then they come through, where the...
Yeah, so it's not Ledestri's property.
No, but if it's empty, it makes it easier to do that. That the Ledestri building is empty.
It's Calabrese's property.
Yeah. Just thoughts I have about what could happen there.
Okay.
Okay, Great. So again, I wanted to give an update on DRI from a process perspective. The call for private projects has ended. That ended last week. We have a list of those private projects here in the packet. We also have, for the most part, fleshed out the public projects. Those are the projects the village will submit pending board review of those projects. And together, those projects total over $70 million. So that is really exciting for us and puts us in a very competitive spot for
So
the
that's a
DRI.
target number, right? I mean, we want it to be $75 million worth of.
Yeah, you know, we really felt that if we didn't get over 40 million, we should consider scaling back for New York Forward. And as we went through this process, we have approached it as New York Forward DRI. And we said that we would let the project's total kind of guide which way we should go. So we have well exceeded that 40 million, and not to identify specifically, but there are other communities in Finger Lakes. The highest total we've heard so far off the record is around 50 million. So we did good there. And now what will happen now is MRB is working on the application, which includes mainly a narrative around the investment we've already done, the future potential, the capacity for the village of Fairport. We have a strong story around capacity between the good work that's already been done in this village, having an embedded IDA, an economic development agency, to help guide this. A lot of communities might get these dollars, but they don't have the right resources to make those projects happen and have the dollars really result in the investment intended in the application. So that application will tell the narrative of that and then include the projects at a very summary level. So you probably, in the public projects, may have more detail that is going to go in the application. The application is limited to 21 pages plus the letters of support. So we are in good shape from that perspective. We got every project that some developer said they were going to give us. We got them all back. They may not all be, you know, they're not all the same, but they're all, you know, add up to the whole. So we're really excited about that. And in the packet, we have a list of those projects. I'm happy to go through them in detail or as high level as you might like to hear about them. What do you think?
Or I would say if people have ones they want to pick out of the list, certainly, you know, just.
I wondered, was there any formal assessment or rundown for recap of the feedback that came from that community meetings that was in this room back in September?
There is, so that gets compiled by MRB, and then depending on if I understand your question, so some of the feedback came back, or the feedback came back and things like, for example, don't cut down that pine tree. Well, okay, when we worked with the village to come up with the summary, we're like, okay, the pine tree cannot come down. So the immediate feedback was built into the projects that were put together for the village. And then, so yes, but that didn't necessarily go into a summary that was then distributed back out to us. It more went into, here's what we learned about your public projects. Here's how you should adjust those projects based on that feedback.
And I think, didn't you hear a lot from all the different collection information gathering that they did? A lot of bicycle related things, which I see that there is a bicycle enhancement project, you know, so that would be one case where that gets included.
Correct.
So should we ask if we have specific ones that we think we want to hear more about?
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean,
That
if
makes
something,
sense, right?
if something stood out to you.
I'm curious about the hotel and shops.
Okay.
I
Oh,
just
sorry.
wanted to clarify. So this is, I got confused about the list that the village has. and the list that we have? Or this is all the list of everything?
This is
Well,
the
the
list
first
of everything.
Titled
Okay.
proposed public projects, and then when you get down to the more bullet pointed list, I would say private projects.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Okay, got it.
Yes. And so, but just to like put a finer point on it, these are projects that the village is going to submit. So the village board does still have to review and bless, like, yes, we are signing on board for these. They have not had that meeting yet. We intend to present them in detail on next Monday, the 27th. There is the 27th, a working session for the village, and you are all welcome to attend that if you would like to attend that. But we're going to present these same projects to the village so they have the same understanding of what they are, and they ultimately will be the ones to bless the public projects specifically.
The public or what about
The
the private?
public.
Okay, so the public will be
Yes.
blessed. And
Yes.
the private ones, they still present as, we all still present
Yes,
as the
yes. So you're
PRI.
aware of them, and
Okay.
and
These are not going to be at the 27th dove into in more detail. They'll be the public projects.
The-
Not sorry, I'm probably confusing the way I'm asking that.
we're going to review all the projects
All
just
the
like we are
projects.
right now.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe they're going to be in a little different format in the village's meeting than this meeting.
Right. Okay.
But yes, so you are getting a preview to be, I mean, this board has been a little more informed and engaged along the way because our office is doing this every month and giving you an update and check-in. And the village board, while they are aware, they are a little less regularly updated. And so that meeting may be a little deeper to
robust.
bring them up to speed.
Okay, good. So it's
Yes.
not the private people bringing in these projects are not
No.
coming to present their thing. Okay. that was where I was
No,
going.
it's just
Thank
going to
you.
be Brian, maybe not even Brian, myself, and potentially someone from MRB.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
What
you.
time is that meeting on the 27th?
It's at 6.
I will not be here.
Okay. Right, yes. Yeah, and that's another reason why we wanted to do this in this meeting, since you're headed out.
I feel like the public projects, from my perspective, I can kind of read through and get a general idea. The trolley one I find the most interesting, like where it would go, like the visual of it, I have a harder time with, but I think it's really
With the
interesting.
tracks right down the middle of Main Street.
Right,
It's
right.
not
I think
really a
that's all-
trolley.
Okay,
Let's
'cause I'm
just,
just trying
I
to
mean,
picture where.
it's gonna look like a trolley. It's gonna be so cute, and you're gonna feel like you're in Fairport
This
and
is
Train Town and
project,
all
yeah.
that. It's a shuttle.
It's a shuttle. Oh, okay. Okay. This is all making sense to me now.
It just seems, the trolley to me, I know it seems odd because we are such a walkable community. I mean, except for the summer, of course.
Yeah.
But that just seems to me unusual. I'm only one person, I get that, but for, I don't know what was the number, $200,000, just putting that up. It seems,
So-
that's one of the benefits of who we are, is that we are a walkable, small village. From top
Yeah.
to bottom, it's only my own,
I think the intention, I believe the intention, since I really believe in this project, is that we hear a lot about the parking issues in our village, but we have a lot of available free parking. I think everyone on this board knows we have almost 1,000 free municipal parking spots, but people come to one part of our village and say there's no parking in Fairport. We've had a lot of talk about building more parking and investing money in parking studies and all those things. But the trolley would give actually a way to enhance the walkability of our community. If we have a stop at this end, say the cannery side, and another stop at the village landing side, and people are encouraged to come into the village, leave their car, maybe they'll hop on the trolley and stop along the way. They might get off, and instead of just going to the cannery, they'll start here. They'll go to Liftbridge Lane and explore some of those parts. They'll go to the cannery and explore there, and then take that trolley back. But it will relieve the congestion that's happening at the cannery, and hopefully helping people engage in all of Main Street and not just this place or that place.
the winter, the walkability is harder too for some folks. If you're gonna go out to
Certainly.
dinner, you may not want to walk.
But it's not gonna run in the winter, I don't think.
Oh, it's not in the winter.
Didn't I see you thinking about?
The initial plan is to start in the summer
Summer,
months. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say that the presentations that I saw at the World Canal Conference, where there was, and I can't remember the two places, I feel like one might have been in the Poughkeepsie area, but not Poughkeepsie. And another was somewhere, maybe Troy, that there was issues of connectivity of a up downtown and a canal side area that was down. So they were trying to create connectivity to make it more physically accessible to people. And I agree with like Leslie, I don't see that, like, there's no elevation change, like it's nothing that prevents necessarily something from walking from one to the other, like as if we have different elevations.
And we've all commented.
We don't need we don't need the telephone.
I think over the last year, we've seen more people walking from.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde up to the cannery and back, you know, and then we've commented about how we're seeing large groups of people heading one way or the other.
It sort of forces them to hit those shops along the way.
And there,
a little
and
bit
well,
too.
and a lot of, the other side of that is that our shops are not open after 5 o'clock.
Not everybody wants to walk.
I get that.
That can be
I know.
debatable.
Right.
The whole trolley thing can be debatable. Should it go through? This is just the
Right,
Yeah.
this is the
recognition of
thing, like,
what's out
this
there.
doesn't necessarily, this is
Stop us.
dependent, but it
That's
doesn't
Yes,
necessarily
yes.
all approved or all.
And I think that is a really, thank you, valid and important point to remember. Even if you totally love the trolley, that might not be a project that actually gets approved. So with the DRI application, the first application, the projects that you should submit are to demonstrate if money were not an object, what could you do? Show us your big ideas. Show us how you would use these dollars to have an impact in your downtown. And so that is our goal with this project and any project, to demonstrate what we could do that with them. And like I said, no matter how much anyone, including myself, might love that project, once we get that award, they'll create a local planning commission. Experts from New York State will be involved, and the development community, and they'll come in and say, we'll do another call for projects, actually. And then they'll review those projects, and those will be the projects that may or may not get approved. So while the application is important and we put a lot of good work into it, the application is not representative of what the projects will actually be.
Right. I think a little, I don't know, we don't have to get too deep into it, but a little blurb on these private ones, I'm fine, just so that we know what's going on in town, if there are
Yes,
developers
yes.
looking, so we have a general concept of what they need.
Okay, so Blue Collar District is a development partner, 43 North, Joel Barrett and Doug Calabrese at 25 Parse Avenue. This is the biggest private project that was submitted, a $50 million development proposing 100 units of workforce and market rate housing. Residential is a big focus of the DRI, and this particular project is the residential flagship, and as you can see from the value, is a big portion of our total application.
And if we didn't have that, we'd be at the $20 million mark.
We might be, yeah.
Buy-in from some exciting partners.
I know,
Cool.
okay.
Packett's Landing Canal frontage enhancements, that is Packett's Landing, both the first and second building, and the intention is to highlight the canal as if the building was oriented on the canal. So if you look at Packett's Landing now, it's kind of bland
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the
I
We
canal
talked to
side.
Jordan Morgenstern,
Yes.
and he came and met with us.
I think that's great. I
Mhm.
mean, it's worthwhile.
And this is different from the southeast conveyance.
Correct. This is specifically the buildings.
Okay, got it.
And so the private building, the southeast harbor work is a village public project. 1 to 2.
70 million, I'm sorry, John,
Mhm.
are we at 70 million without that estimate? Or is there a ballpark figure that's a placeholder right now for that TBD?
We're at 70 million without that estimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
That could amplify that significantly, I imagine, depending on what vision that newish property will have.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah. 1 through 13 North Main is Millstone Block. And that project is mainly focused on facade enhancements, the rest of the facade that he's not working on right now. And also he has proposed a improvement of, I guess we could call it a pocket park right now. Behind the building, there's a little bench and a tree, and it's right on the canal. So that is part of that project.
Okay.
That will obviously require some cooperation and support from Canal Park as well. 52 North Main Street is the building that's at the corner of Main Street and Railroad Street, recently changed ownership. It's got the Strings Instrument building in it right now. They have proposed redevelopment of the front building. Right now, it's just one, they just have retail on the first floor. They're proposing finishing the second floor, likely with more commercial office or retail. And then potentially, depending on their DRI award, in some conversion of the storage units as well.
All commercial, though, no housing.
No housing has been proposed there, all commercial. 8587 North Main Street is the Masonic Lodge. Those are mostly internal building improvements, HVAC improvement to their event space. And, oh, sorry, yes, South Main. The historic, sorry. Sorry, what was your question? Internal renovations, HVAC updates to their event space. The Fairport Parrington Historical Society also has some internal renovations, including HVAC. There's no AC in that little building. It's also not that accessible. And
Right.
so part of the proposal includes an elevator or some other change to that. Just to be noted, this is listed as a private project, but the building is owned by the village, so it does have to have the same approval. So we have it over here, but we ultimately need to move it over to private project once the village completes their review. The Fairport Performing Arts Center is the Fairport Baptist Church, submitted by Jim Kruger. I believe he has presented this vision to the planning board at the village, but he continues to intend to transform that space into an event space, and he would use DRI dollars to do that.
Looks good on an application.
It's a great project to be revitalized. Fairport Village Landing 50 South Main is across the street from us, Village Landing, Pavia's. Their main proposals are on the atrium. Everybody's seen like the boulder rock thing. So they want to transform that into something that's more welcoming, maybe art focused. And they also have a tunnel that leads to the library. We were able to connect with Sean Dunwoody, who did that original mural. And potentially they will add the finish of that mural into that project. He has also proposed a monument sign in front of the property. I think there's some discussion to be had with the village on that. And art installation in the front of the building near the library. shops on Main Street, Jeff Seidel. So maybe you were all familiar with the original hotel project that Jeff Seidel submitted for here at Village Landing. Ultimately did not move forward. And so we have talked to him about could that go in the OCED North Main parking lot. And that is where this is proposed. Again, this is just a proposal.
Yeah.
It's a vision. No commitment is needed right now. But the hotel is a big need for the village. And the best way for us to do that is with someplace where we have site control, or someone who wants to build a hotel has site control. And we have site control there.
Right.
So
That's interesting.
that's the proposal.
Any news on the funeral? Did that go?
It has not. They have continued to have offers that don't go through. There are a lot of remediation challenges if you were to leave it as is, and otherwise the asking price seems to be pushing away those people who might look at it as tear it down, build something new. The last update I had from Ian Stahl, who is also a real estate broker and has a listing, is that the owners are looking to be potentially more flexible. They would hold the paper if someone wanted to attempt to purchase that way. But that just kind of says that the activity they've seen so far, it hasn't really materialized into anything real.
So that's the private projects.
That's the private projects.
Any more questions regarding any of this stuff for the DRI application?
Yeah. I guess I'm surprised that we would put the hotel project on our parking lot without any discussion with all of us. Putting that out there.
And this is no commitment.
This is no commitment, and I apologize if there should have been a different approach here, but my hope is that this is our expectation to talk about that. If we want to have a separate offline discussion, I can facilitate that, certainly.
Any more discussion regarding?
I think around that area, I mean, I thought this was his current, does he not own the current building where they had fire?
That's
That's
80
probably-
North Main,
It's
yeah.
starting to feel like a bit of an eyesore, honestly. And then the one on the other side of our parking lot, that definitely could use some work. Where the bridge
Thomas Creek.
construction is happening.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
That's,
And how do we get them to jump in and
yeah, like,
take part?
or those to me are like definitions of things that need to be revitalized.
Mhm.
As opposed to like new buildings on space that we need.
Have they shown any willingness to partake in anything, or not so much, those folks?
Doug Calabrese has not for 80 North Main, no. And then the other side, I've reached out to that owner, but haven't had any engagement there.
I think as a placeholder and a vision for a potential spot for a hotel, it makes sense. I think there's a lot of discussion that we go on.
Right.
Or
I'm just surprised.
when it comes to fruition of any project.
I'm just surprised that we're seeing this presented to us without ever even having discussed using that parcel that we've been talking about for months, years, in this different alternate way without having any sort of discussion with us, or even saying, hey, what do you think about?
Any further discussion?
It's exciting. I think when you put this all together. Hearing the context that I didn't have before this conversation with other communities and where they've gotten to, speaks to some of the developers that we have around here and the vision around here. But excited to see what comes out of the conversation on Monday.
And then, like Rob had said, to echo, it's nice to see some of the names we know of local developers stepping up to jump in and take part of it too. It's promising.
It was interesting at the Canal Conference to see some of the examples of the DRI projects and the developers that have helped with that. That was one that mainly was focused on housing. We had a discussion about like, does that work in Fairport or not? Or, but also just there was nobody presenting that said like, we got a DRI, it completed last year, and here's our beautiful town. It was like, this is what we envisioned, this is where we are, this is where we kind of hope to go, and try to put the pieces together. So for me, it gave me a sense of like how this is it's a process. It is a process, and it's not like 5 years is what you have. Yeah. It evolves, yeah. And there's a lot of partners to come on board to kind of help with that.
Okay,
Thanks for all the work on.
Welcome, it's been exciting
calendar.
to do.
board calendar.
Move to approve with the
Amended November.
amended.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anything else for IDA?
Not for me.
No.
No.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Move adjourned.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we need to reopen the Fairport Local Development Corporation meeting.